Good morning, everyone who is watching this video. Um, I have a couple questions I need to answer regarding my fifth grade class at North Bend Elementary slash Middle. The first question was, looking back at the data, how does it tell the story of student achievement in my class? How does it not? Um, my students didn't reach the 80%, and I think it's for a couple of reasons. Um, I think overall, my students and my kids are behind academically, and it's hard to catch up in 1 year, especially as a first year teacher. And I'm not giving myself an excuse, but I really think that I gave 100% all year, but it's hard for me to catch all of my kids up. Um, if they're behind a couple years, it's hard to catch them up in 1 year. I think they did their best. I think I pushed them to the limit. And I think that, what the data shows is that it shows that they gave everything they had. Yes, they fell a little bit short, but that doesn't mean I'm not proud of them. I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of the hard work that they did, all the effort, all the hard days. I'm really proud of that because it brought the best out of myself as a teacher and it brought the best out of my students. Um, how did I affirm my students for who they are this year? I gave my students a space to be themselves. If you're goofy and you're funny, you can be goofy and funny when the time is right. If you're shy and you don't like speaking, that's okay as well. If you're outgoing and you want to speak to everybody, there's nothing wrong with that. Just I'll let them know it's a time and place for everything. I know that these are conversations that we have on a daily basis in my classroom about there's nothing wrong with who you are. And I think I reinforced that with my lesson plans. I know we have done many lessons and many poems and many close readings on self-love. And they're starting to understand that. But I think honestly, as human beings, we struggle with loving oneself and affirming oneself. So I try my best to affirm my students it's okay to be who you are and love who you are. But I think that's a lifelong journey. There's some 60-year-olds that have trouble affirming who they really are. But I think I did my best job of creating a space and allowing my students to express who they are, whether through lesson plans, through writings, through countless lunch bunches, just countless lunch bunches. And the reason why I repeated that 3 times because it's literally an everyday thing that they want to spend time with me and just be themselves around me. And I think a focal point or a turning point in my relationship with my children was with me opening up to them like, look, I'm weird. There's nothing wrong with being weird and liking weird things and not trying to fit in. There's nothing wrong with that. I think once I told them that, they honestly grew a little bit closer to me and they found out that, it's okay to be who you are. How did I equip my students to be advocates? Um, we did a video. It's about a 7-minute video on police brutality. I told my children to just voice their opinions on how they feel about police brutality. And not only how they feel, but what is the solution? And a lot of my students came up with excellent ideas. And I wish I could show the whole world this video, but the video is so powerful. They thought of some ideas that I had never even thought about. Thought of some perspectives and said some things that I didn't even think about. And it's a very beautiful process to see a child express their opinion on something that's so obvious and something that dehumanizes a group of people. And they have such a mature opinion on that, and it's such a blessing to just see that, and for me to witness that. It was such a great feeling, and a great feeling. But that video was one way I helped my children be advocates for themselves, their community, their city. And finally, what have you learned about teacher leadership and yourself as a teacher leader? I've learned that being a leader is not only saying it, but is more so doing it. And what I mean by that is, I know when I first got here, I was responsible for not only teaching, but raising 50 children. But I think I did a lot of growing in the classroom, but I think the challenge was outside of the classroom. And it was being very careful and very cognizant of my decisions. And it made me grow up faster than I thought I would. It's a lot of decisions that I've made in the past that I wouldn't make now just because I'm teaching. And it's a responsibility that I cherish dear to my heart. Even when I go out or party or hang out with friends, I'm very careful on the decisions I make because I know it will affect my children. And that's the beauty of raising children and even being in children's lives. And I know this was it's supposed to be a letter or a recap on how I feel being a new Baltimore teacher and telling my story to the 2017 core. And my one advice to incoming 2017 core members is to never think what you're doing is something wrong, or never think teaching or raising children or giving back to the community is something wrong or draining thing. Because it's a beautiful struggle. It's a very beautiful struggle. It's gonna be days where you want to feel like you're quitting. It's gonna be days when you feel like you don't want nothing to do with the kids. You're gonna ask yourself, why did I even get into this? It's gonna be days where people around you that you cared about may leave you, may abandon you because it's so time consuming. But this is a temporary. This is a not only I won't even say temporary. This is a sacrifice that is needed, not only in Baltimore but for a greater cause than yourself. And I think that there's nothing wrong with any other job and things like that. But teaching and raising children and raising the next generation is the ultimate sacrifice, because I could be doing anything else. I got a business degree. I could be opening my own business and selling food. That's my passion. But I put that on pause because I knew what Baltimore needed. I knew what my city needed. I knew exactly what my children needed. And they need someone like me. And you need to feel that way about yourself. They need someone that's going to give them 100% at all times. They're going to need someone that's going to push them to the limits of crying and breaking down. But once you break somebody down, you got to build them back up. That's how you help someone grow. It's called growing pains. And us as not only the students go through growing pains, but teachers go through growing pains. And you're going to grow a lot. And then at the end of the road, even at the end of your first year, you're gonna really tell yourself, wow, I really did that. Wow, I really impacted their lives. Wow, I really made a difference. And sometimes when you plant a seed, you don't see that seed grow years later. But sometimes you could actually see the seed grow within your first year. And that's my only advice. Don't, just because things go wrong, as they sometimes will, doesn't mean to stop fighting this fight, because it's a hard fight, but it's the most rewarding fight next to raising a child in life. There's no better feeling than to see a child grow, and you kind of cultivated that in a way, even though it's still their choice to grow, but you kind of guided them through that process. And stay true to yourself. Do things that you've always done in the past. Go exercise, go work out, spend time with family. But just because things change in your life, it and things get hectic, that could be a beautiful change. Even though it may not seem like it, it could be a beautiful change. Because you will go through some dark days, but you will go through some great days. Just always keep the faith and keep pushing. And one advice this is a poem that I always say to myself when things really get rough. I will look up the poem Don't Quit. It's a very famous poem, and it gets me through a lot of days. Just look up the poem Don't Quit, and I'm telling you, it's just a powerful poem. If the poem's not your thing, just look up something that inspires you. But teaching and being here is beautiful. Thank you.